I'll never forget the day. It was more than 25 years ago. I was in between jobs, I was temping, and I was living in this really tiny basement suite. It had really, really low ceilings. They were so low that when tall people would come over to visit, they'd hit their head on the doorways. And we were right next door to a popular fried chicken fast food restaurant. And in the summer, my roommate and I had to choose between sweltering with the windows closed or having everything we own smell like fried chicken. And that day came when my rent was due, and that month I had only made $300. And back then, that was still peanuts. And that $300 didn't cover my rent. Hey there, I'm Nafissa Shireen, and welcome to Living Forward TV. Today, I'm sharing with you a very personal story. I truly believe that no matter what life throws at us, if we keep moving forward, if we keep taking action, and if we just get out of our own damn way, and we live for our future and not for our past and not our current circumstances, we can create magic. And that core belief is the founding principle of my company, Living Forward. Whether it's the clients we serve, or through Living Forward TV, or our social media channels, we're all about helping you create the personal freedom you really want. And yet, that freedom, so many people resist taking any action towards creating it. And I think that's because it can be so easy to think when you see someone else who's successful that it's easy for them and somehow is out of reach for you. And what I'm about to share with you today isn't my entire story. However, what happened in my early 20s, as challenging as it may have felt at the time, and I didn't fully understand back then the impact of my choices, when I look back and connect the dots on my life, it really changed something in my thinking and my beliefs, and it changed me, and has really set me up for who I am today and all the successes that I've had in my life. And I want to share it with you. In thinking about that month, where my income didn't even cover my rent, it was really scary at the time. I had to pay my rent, I still needed to eat, I had a car payment, and never mind putting gas in my car. I had no savings, and I was living off a credit card. And then, to make matters worse, the monthly statement came in, and while I still had plenty of room and available credit, a minimum payment was due. And I needed to make that payment to keep the card current so that I could continue to use it, so that I could eat. And I had no money. What I did have, though, was my resourcefulness. I only needed $50 to make the minimum payment, and I had plenty of room on that card. The payment wasn't due for a couple of days, so I went to the bank machine and I simply took out a cash advance for exactly $50 on that card, and then I walked into the bank with the card and made the minimum payment. And then I continued to use my card to cover my expenses until more work started to flow in. I did in that moment, however, feel like I'd hit rock bottom, paying my credit card with my credit card. So I made two important decisions that day. One is I wasn't going to live like this. The only place I could go was up, and I was going to figure out how to create wealth for myself. And the second, I was not going to live in survival mode. No matter what my income was, I was always going to find a way to treat myself like the most important person in my life and indulge in small ways that made me feel whole and in a forward mindset. The only problem? I was flat broke, and I had no idea where to begin. So I decided with changing my thinking about what happened with my credit cards. Instead of looking at this like some horrible thing or that I was a bad person for not having enough money, I just realized that I'd hit a tight spot in my money making, and yet I had these resources, and they provided me with the ability to continue to look after myself by myself. And I was kind of amused and impressed with the fact that I figured out how to keep it available without needing help from anyone. I decided that I would be grateful instead of depressed. The next thing I did was to continue my daily ritual of stopping at Starbucks. I temporarily stopped that month, and I brought it back. I consider that investment in a cup of coffee to be one of the most powerful things I've ever done for myself. Many financial experts will tell you that if you forego that cup of coffee, you'll save a few $100s a year. And yes, I heard that from a lot of people. They cared about me and they were trying to give me advice. And you know what? I didn't buy into it then, and I don't buy into it now, and I never will. I truly believe one of the reasons that I am where I am today as a successful business owner with a 7-figure net worth is because I never did give up my daily stop at Starbucks, even though I was relying on my credit card to buy my coffee. You see, to me, this wasn't a mindless exercise in convenience to just run in and grab a coffee and run off to work. No, I stopped at Starbucks every morning. I sat down, I read the paper, I contemplated the day, and got myself into a really good mindset. That made me feel whole and it put me in a really good space, and I was able to make decisions. I did, however, change my beverage from a latte to a drip coffee. I believe back then it was probably still less than $1 a cup. You see, it wasn't about the coffee itself. It was about the ritual. It was about how I was feeling in that moment. It was about being powerful and productive. And feeling that way kept me moving forward. And in that place, I was able to, as I said, make decisions about my life. And when I look back and I connect all those dots, I realize that, while I was certainly broke during that time, I wasn't poor. You see, broke is nothing more than a reflection of a person's current finances and conditions. And no matter how much money you have or how little money you have, your current situation is always temporary, because what comes next depends on your individual choices and actions and your next move. Poor, however, is a crippling belief that goes right to a person's heart and identity. Anyone can end up broke from time to time. However, it's our decisions and mindset that determine what happens to us in the long run. The most important thing to me back then, and it's a philosophy that I carry with me till today, was that no matter what my current financial situation was, I was never going to feel poor. I was always going to be resourceful. Now, I did have to adjust a few of my habits to face the current financial reality in front of me, and at the same time, I had some non-negotiables. These were things I was not going to give up for anything. So one was my daily stop at Starbucks, which we've talked about, and I think it was the most important. There were other things like my favorite salon shampoo and conditioner. I wasn't going to ruin my hair. I mean, come on. I always bought, and I still buy, top quality toilet paper. I always ate at the table and beautifully plated my meal up nicely. Even though I may have been eating ramen noodles, I still presented whatever I ate to myself like it was fine dining. I made my bed every single day, and I always did my hair and makeup, presenting at my very best, even when I wasn't at work and I was just doing errands and running around. And another thing I always had were scented candles. Now, some of these things involve spending money over and above my means at the time, and others involve nothing more than imagination and creativity. And while traditional financial planning would have cut some of these indulgences out for me, and I certainly would have saved a little bit of money in the short term, I really don't believe I would have ended up where I am today, as I would have been developing a scarcity and lack mindset and a debilitating mindset of cutting back instead of growth. And my income potential probably would have been capped around the $15 an hour I was making back then. I mean, sure, these non-negotiables contributed temporarily to me being broke. However, more importantly, they prevented me from ever being poor. I had no idea what I was doing at the time or just how important these decisions were. All I knew was how I felt in those moments, in the individual moments, and that was expansive and abundant. I was building a mindset and laying a foundation. I mean, back then, I'd actually never heard of the term mindset. However, now I realize I was taking really important steps that created who I am today by constantly ensuring that I created experiences and meaningful rituals and an environment to me that was everyday simple luxuries. They made me feel whole and abundant, and it kept me in forward motion. I was creating emotional and mental strength. I created a belief system that success for me is a natural inevitability. I declared what I was worth, and I created expectations of abundance in my life. And by creating beliefs that served me, I took action and made decisions that were in alignment with what I ultimately wanted. And I've been on a journey of growth ever since. And I still do that today, except today I'm consciously aware of those choices, which makes it even more fun. And the reason I wanted to share this with you is because of what I said at the outset. It can be so easy to look at someone successful and think it's easy for them and not available for you. And that's just not true. When I hit my rock bottom, I could have made that choice too. Instead, I chose me. And today I'm here to invite you to always choose you. No matter where you are in your business, no matter what life throws at you, how you show up and how you move forward has nothing to do with what's happening on the outside or your circumstances. It starts on the inside. It starts with seeing beyond those circumstances and creating, even in small ways, the life you want. I encourage you and invite you to look at the places where you can start to incorporate that abundance in your life, and what rituals and experiences can you bring in that make you feel really good? What can you change in your environment or simply bring into it? Now, don't get me wrong. As I've mentioned in other episodes, I don't advocate spending recklessly or without meaning. There's a really big difference between spending money you don't have on things you don't need just because you feel good or you're trying to numb a void. We don't want to do that. What I'm speaking about is a decision to always treat yourself as the most important person in your life, and to be aware that there are a lot of small things that you can do to really create that feeling of expansiveness and abundance, where you can be fully present in the moment and you can enjoy it and you can be your best and true self. Even if you need to make some practical adjustments like I did. I mean, like I said, I changed the type of coffee I was drinking. My fancy meals looked good, but they were ramen noodles, right? What was important was the feeling that it gave me. And so I encourage you to determine what your non-negotiables are. Most importantly, get clear on the feeling you want to have and find ways to make it happen. Find your own resourcefulness and always find something to be grateful for. The biggest stretch will be your mindset and your beliefs, because you're now going to step into a new paradigm of what you believe is possible for you and what you can expect for yourself. And the good news is that once you stretch something, it can't go back to its original form. You're going to start to unlock what's truly inside of you, and you're going to be living the way you really want to. And you'll be amazed at what's possible for you in the long term. I mean, just think about it. How cool is that, that you can start creating the future you desire by simply living it now? If you found today's episode helpful, please share it with someone who you know needs it, and subscribe to my channel. And I would love to hear from you. Please leave me a comment below and let me know what you found most helpful, most inspiring, and what you will do for yourself. And if you have more questions, or you need more help, or want some support, then I'd like to invite you to join the Living Forward Facebook community. I come to you live each week on After the Episode. I take your questions, I interact with you, and I give you a great place to build your network and grow your business. Simply go to livingforwardcommunity.com, click the Join Now button, and I'll see you on the inside.